You're listening to the Trading Bear Podcast. This is episode 4, The Daily Show.
Mystery player. Position.
Midfielder.
Start price.
£2.61.
Current price.
£14.51.
PB.
0.
MB.
10p.
Dividend yield.
0.69%.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining again. Today is Wednesday, the 27th of February. Let's look at some of today's news then. So yesterday we had the sacking of Claude Puel at Leicester, and they brought in Brendan Rodgers from Celtic. We saw a few rises on the back of that, including two young English talents, one being James Maddison and the other being Harvey Barnes. More on him in a minute. In other news, the keeper has been dropped from Chelsea, as in K-E-P-A, keeper, for Willy Caballero after Sunday's farcical scenes where he refused to come off. And also in the news today, Manchester City. The FA are investigating a banned £200,000 Jadon Sancho payment. Now, this relates to when he was 14 years old and a £200,000 alleged payment to Jadon Sancho's agent. This is a story worth following, and I'd like to stress these are only allegations at the moment, and that needs to be made extremely clear. However, if anything does come about to it, in April 2017, Liverpool were actually fined £100,000 by the Premier League for a similar case, and they were handed a 2-year ban on signing academy players. So this could have potential ramifications for Man City signing young, up-and-coming talent, but at the moment, it's just pure allegations. We'll see how that story develops. Alright then, let's get into today's risers and fallers. First up, we've got the Leverkusen attacking midfielder, the 22-year-old Julian Brandt. He's gone up 21p today, and he's now at £4.03. Now, anyone who had him last week would be facing a very different story from a 21p rise. Leverkusen were in the Europa League, and they were huge favourites to knock out Krasnodar, their Russian opponents, and they lost to a late goal from Krasnodar, which knocked them out of the competition. Brandt's price fell 30-40p almost instantly. Now, that goal from Krasnodar coincided with Hudson-Odoi also scoring a goal for Chelsea, so you had the instant selling from Julian Brandt going straight into the rise for Hudson-Odoi at Chelsea. So not a great 2 minutes of football there for Julian Brandt holders. But as always, patience in the market goes a long way. Quality will always stay there. It's only taken 1-2 weeks and his price has already gone back up to £4 to £4.3 mark. This is just a classic tale of, if you got a quality player, if he's good for the system, then he is going to rise, he's going to go up. Just have a little bit of patience with players like this. He's also been linked with a potential summer move. Now, his teammate Kai Havertz has taken all the transfer rumours so far, with strong rumours linking Havertz to Bayern Munich. But there's been recent newspaper reports that Brandt's got a 23 million release clause. Now, if that's true, and we don't know for sure yet, but certainly just a pure speculation around that could lead to a move for him. And if he does move, especially to the EPL, to the Premier League, he could be a seriously good player for the Football Index. We'll see how it goes. The second riser today is a direct beneficiary of the new appointment at Leicester, and it's Harvey Barnes. The 21-year-old winger, he spent most of the season on loan at West Brom, and I've caught 5 or 6 of West Brom's games this season, and he looks very useful indeed. A tricky winger, likes to take people on, cut inside, and shoot from the edge of the box, which is all good for PB stats and his performance dividends, and he looks like one that, if he broke through, could be very good as well. So, 2 decent players rising up in price there. Let's have a look at today's fallers. Today's fallers, well, one of them was the rise from yesterday, and sure enough, like night follows day, Almiron failed to score, and of course his price has just dramatically plummeted down 52p at time of recording, and he's now at £3.28. Instead, it was his teammate Longstaff who scored a goal to aid his growing reputation, and he actually rose 60p last night during the games. But Almiron is the big loser tonight. The second faller after Almiron is Angel Gomez, the Manchester United under-23 player. Now, himself and Chong were heavily linked with a squad appearance for tonight's game away to Crystal Palace, mainly due to the fact they had an under-23 game and they weren't included in that squad, so people were largely speculating that, okay, they're missing the under-23 game, they must be in the squad for the senior game. The squad has now been released for tonight's game. Chong is on the bench. However, Gomez is not on the bench, and that news has filtered through onto Football Index, and he fell 24p, and he's currently at £3.28. Now, for a player yet to play a single senior game, certainly in the league, £3.28. Again, I mean, like Mason Greenwood, some of these prices are just completely illogical, and I would stay away from him at the moment. Yes, he might be a good prospect, but if he's not even getting on the bench, he's just simply too far away from the first team at this moment. So those are your two fallers on today. Let's move on to some of your questions then. And today's first question comes from Leon in Ireland. Thanks for sending it in, Leon. And Leon asks, I see people talking about G&A dividends. Is it the same thing as in-play dividends? Yes, it is, Leon. In-play dividends is exactly the same thing as G&A dividends. G&A just stands for goals and assists. Goals being paid out as 2p per share for midfielders and strikers, and defenders it's 3p per goal. Assists are paid out as half a penny across the board. These are paid on a daily basis, with it being credited to your account on Wednesday. So every week, all your G&A, all your in-play dividends will be credited come Wednesday, and you'll get an email. If you opt into the email, you'll get a breakdown of who's contributed to those scores. In the future, FA have stated that they wish to automate this process, so as soon as they go in, you get paid. How far away we are from that at the moment, I'd say we're pretty still far away and they have other things to worry about at the moment. But that's good to see that they want to implement that in the future at some point. Second question comes from Pete CFC on Index Gain, and he's direct messages myself under the name Trading Bear. And Pete asks, next Monday, it's a single game match day with only one match in La Liga between Leganés and Levante. Is it worth buying futures in Martin Braithwaite, a striker in good form for the home side who's expected to win the game? Would you expect a rise in the lead up to the game, and would you sell the day of the game if he was still rising? Or would the game simply be too abstract? Right, quite a few questions in that, Pete. Let's have a look at the main one then. Is it worth buying futures in Martin Braithwaite for a single game day? Largely, I would say no. If a player's not really that well known, of course Braithwaite spent time in Middlesbrough, but if he's not really that well known playing for a quite minor club in Leganés, then he's not really going to get too much action even for a single game day. Now, if he happens to bang in 2 or 3 goals, and of course he repeats that in the following game, then yes, he will get attention. And you only have to look at his teammate El Nesri for this exact fact. He scored 2 goals, the next game he scored a hat-trick, and his price went from £1 to £1.50. He shot up. So some players, yes they can, but it usually takes a consecutive game. If it was a larger game, let's say for example Real Madrid were playing Seville on a Monday on a single game day, yes I would buy a player, in this case maybe Vinicius Jr, and yes I probably would sell before the match begins. I wouldn't even leave it as close to an hour before the match. I'd probably look to sell around about midday while there's still interest in it. Anything after about 2 or 3 p.m. and you're risking it that people won't buy into him, and then you're at the mercy of a normal bet, so to speak, and whether he plays well or not. So would you bother for that match? It depends on the player. Generally, no, I wouldn't, Pete. And that's it for today then. Thanks for joining in. Feel free to subscribe on iTunes and head over to the website to send in a question to tradingbearpodcast.com. Alternatively, you can find me on Index Gain under the name Trading Bear. Thanks for listening and stay tuned for today's Mystery Player.
Mystery player. Position.
Midfielder.
Start price.
£2.61.
Current price.
£14.51.
PB.
0.
MB.
10p.
Dividend yield.
0.69%.
Trading Bear. Today's mystery player was Jadon Sancho.